Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mr. Davenport's Agriculture class. And I want to take a time to tell you that this is part two of a two-part series on FFA history. We ended our last go around looking at the 1950s, and now we're going to be looking at the 1960s, hopefully to the modern age. I'm going to see how long this video takes as we are going through, and there may be a part three, but I'm thinking that there will only be these two parts. So let's get things started with FFA history part two. So we are going to be looking at the years 1960 and into the 90s, leading into the modern era of the National FFA Organization. And so what we're going to be looking at today is a lot of change. Mostly what we've seen before has been kind of establishing the organization, establishing some of the traditions, and getting the organization ready to become what it was going to be. And now we're getting ready to see some changes and challenges into the way business gets done and who can be FFA members. So let's start with the most important change I think that we had was 1965 in this era. In 1965, the New Farmers of America and the Future Farmers of America merged. They came together as one organization. Now, like I said in the previous video, um, prior to this merger, prior to 1965, prior to the Civil Rights Act, prior to challenges to segregation, it was technically illegal. I mean, and actually illegal in many states for organizations to be integrated. And so basically, what happened is when the Civil Rights Act passed, FFA and NFA merged as one organization. Now, that means that FFA took on a lot of the traditions that the New Farmers of America were doing, and we've all merged under the FFA organization simply because FFA had a larger national range. We were already in all 50 states, whereas New Farmers of America was mostly in the southern states, especially those places where there was rampant segregation. This merger of these two organizations represents the coming together of two organizations that believed in basically the same premises, teaching students agriculture and leadership skills and preparing them for potential careers. And now we, as FFA members and as agriculture teachers, love the talking about some of the traditions that NFA gave the Future Farmers of America. And we're going to look at some of those traditions in detail at another time. But 1965, the NFA and the FFA merged together as one organization. Then we go to 1969. This is another change in membership, and this was brought on by another law that was passed that basically made it so that anyone could choose what classes they want to be involved in. Prior to the law, and I have to go back and look it up, and but prior to the law, basically, girls kind of took what was called homemaking classes. We'd call those family and consumer science classes or business classes and stuff like that. And boys took their agriculture classes and took the welding and auto shop classes and all those things. Well, basically, it got to a point where people realized, If students are really interested in a certain subject, if a guy wants to take home ec or if a girl wants to take auto shop, there should be a problem with that. Now, law was passed that basically made it so that they could uh, take those courses. Now, with that, that would mean that one of the qualifications of being an FFA member is being enrolled in an agricultural education class. So this meant that girls could potentially join and be members. But, like I said, it takes a vote from the FFA membership to make a change, especially if that information is not laid out in our Constitution and bylaws at the beginning. So in 1969, it was voted on by the membership to allow an open FFA membership to females for the first time, making it possible for them to hold offices, participate in competitive events at the regional and national levels. So that is a two big changes within 4 years of each other: the merger of the NFA and FFA, and opening membership to girls for the first time. 1973. So in 1973, we had another first in agricultural education. The National FFA Secretary, Fred Mcclure from Texas, was elected as the first African American national officer. And so this is Fred Mcclure. He is a historic person in the history of the National FFA Organization, the first African American elected to a national office. Now, another cool thing that happened in 1973 is the official dress standards were made, and that includes a jacket, tie, white shirt or blouse, slacks for black slacks, black socks, black shoes. Those were what was established. But the main thing that I want you guys to remember from 1973 is the election of Fred Mcclure from Texas, the first African American national officer. 1982, another first. Janeberly from California was elected as the first female national president. Now, let's zoom out just a little bit so that you can see Miss Eberly. And so, 1982, Janeberly elected as the first female national president. Big first, big deal. And there's another center shot of Miss Janeberly, the first female national FFA president. Now, this is a big one, something that we should know, and it's something that I've spoken on a few times. In 1988, the Future Farmers of America officially changed its name to the National FFA Organization to reflect the growing diversity in agriculture. So, what this means is that FFA was founded on this principle of giving students the skills that they would need to be able to go out and farm, to go out and be able to be a part of production agriculture. Well, I think that, as you can see in the videos that we've gone through, that a lot of things changed from the years 1928 to 1988. Things are continuing to change. So what happened is the organization, Future Farmers of America, saw that there were so many different ways for individuals to be involved in agriculture. It wasn't just about production farming anymore. There was agribusiness. There was the beginnings of biotechnology. There was plant breeding. There was specific forms of agriculture like horticulture, landscape design. All of these things using agricultural principles, but weren't really the original production form of agriculture that is usually associated with the term farmer. And so, in order to reflect that change and in order to be able to give the most opportunity and to show the growing diversity for agriculture as an industry, the Future Farmers of America officially changed its name to the National FFA Organization. Now, so that when we talk about uh, the National FFA Organization, we either say FFA or the National FFA Organization. The acronym FFA is used as a shorthand for the National FFA Organization. Now, those letters still stand for Future Farmers of America, but we really don't use that as a identifier anymore. Okay, we either say the National FFA Organization or just FFA. 1989. This was a change to the National Future Farmer magazine. Now, I told you guys that the National Future Farmer was originally started in 1952. Just like in 1988, in order to reflect the diversity of agriculture, in 1989, FFA officially changed it, the FFA Future Farmer magazine changed its name to FFA New Horizons. And this was in order to reflect the growing diversity in agriculture. Another thing that happened in 89 that is really important for us as middle school students is this. The 7th and 8th grade students were permitted to become FFA members. There were growing agricultural education programs being placed in middle schools. And so now 7th and 8th graders can be FFA members. And that's important because, hey guys, middle schoolers, that's you. Now, moving forward. 1994. Corey Flournoy from Illinois was elected as the first African American National FFA president. And he is the first, also, beyond being the first African American president, he is the first student leader from first student leader at the national level who was from a large city, who lived in an urban setting, that wasn't from a rural background or a suburban kind of background. Basically, Corey was the first FFA student leader at the national level who was literally from a big, large city. And that's awesome because, again, reflecting the diversity of agriculture and agricultural education programs across the nation. And let's see, moving on from 1994. That is a picture of Mr. Flournoy. And that ends our look through the 60s through the 90s. And so I think we have enough time to breeze through the modern history of agricultural education. Well, FFA. So, guys, a lot of things happen throughout the 2000s. A lot of different changes, but there are a few things that I just want to touch on very selectively so that you guys can essentially be a part of the in the know of things that have happened. So we're going to pick up in 2003, the other first. Now, Javier Moreno from Puerto Rico was elected as the national FFA president, and he was the first person with a native language other than English and the first Puerto Rican Latinx uh, officer elected to the National FFA Organization. That is a huge boom to our history because it shows that we have a huge, diverse organization. I actually met Javier while I was an FFA member, and this man was so awesome. Talking about the life in Puerto Rico and comparing it to his travels across the country, how things were similar, how things were different, and Spanish was his first language. He English was his second language, and so to go through the National FFA election process, which consists of interviews and tests and lasts for about 3 days, as a English with his second language, it's an amazing feat. And Javier Moreno was such a on point individual in the National FFA organization. Just incredible human being. 2006, the National FFA organization convention has only been held in 3 places: Kansas City, Missouri, Louisville, Kentucky, and Indianapolis, Indianapolis. So in 2006, the 79th National FFA Convention was held in Indianapolis and had 54,589 people in attendance. And this is basically Indianapolis is kind of chosen because it's a midpoint in the United States. Also, later on, Indianapolis and Louisville, Kentucky would be considered the homes of the National FFA Convention. And the FFA Convention would fluctuate between those 2 cities for many years to come because both of those cities have been very accommodating to the National FFA Convention for our really big conventions and celebrations. 2016, FFA membership hits an all-time high with 649,355 members and 7,859 chapters. Guys, FFA is a continually growing organization, and it exists with the purpose of helping students achieve premier leadership, personal growth, and career success. And that is reflected in our growing numbers and our growing number of chapters and a growing number of agricultural education programs across the country. So remember, that all-time high membership is something that is going to continue to grow throughout time. But right now, we're going to use 2016 as our benchmark, as that kind of ending mark until more data and more information is made light, because I want to take information that's out of the most recent handbooks and manuals so that you guys will have quick access to it without having to go through and search things via the internet as much. Okay, I want you guys to be able to have access to things that we have ready access to. And with that, guys, this is going to end our part 2 of FFA history. Again, if you have any questions, please refer to the Quizlet Important FFA Dates or the whole timeline that I have posted into the Canvas. Also, there is a section titled FFA Chapter 1 Part 2 Our History. If you're interested in that, take a while, read through that PDF if you want some extra details surrounding the changes, especially those changes in 1965 with NFA and FFA, and the 1969 girls being allowed in FFA. So, guys, with that, I'm going to end this brief run, this look at FFA history. Have a great day. If you have any questions, please reach out to me via Canvas.